Welcome everybody. Happy New Year. This is the No Politics Podcast. I'm your host, Faking No Moons, with my co-host, Working Genius, and we're here today to talk about UFC, WWE, NFL, music, NBA, whatever the fuck we feel like talking about. And today we're gonna start off a little differently. We're gonna talk about UFC. The headlines, the way we closed 2016, everybody was anticipating Ronda Rousey's return, and I'll tell you what, we talked about it last week. I told you I felt Ronda Rousey was going to win. I felt her game plan needed to be come in, get close, grab her, throw her on the ground, break her fucking arm, do what she does best. If you're a fan of the UFC and you're listening now, you already know what happened. And it was not that situation, that outcome that I predicted. And I think we all can agree that we all feel really sad about what happened to Ronda. But she got to get her shit together, man.
I was actually, well, first of all, Happy New Year to all our listeners. We here in 2017 is going to be a big year for us. Thank you for rocking with us through the new year and hopefully for the year going forward. But I was actually surprised because I was sad for Ronda. I know on last week's podcast, I actually said I'm scared for Ronda because there was a lot of pressure. We talked about the pressure and how if she didn't win, this might be the end. And a lot of people are saying that this might be the end for her in terms of fighting. And but I was actually surprised. I'm sad for her, but there was not as much on social media anyway. There wasn't a universal feeling of sadness. There was a lot of people I told ya, like shit talking her, and I felt like, wait, what? And even Nunez, when the fight was over, she was shit talking her. She was popping a lot of shit. She was like, you forget Ronda Rousey, And I understand what she was saying because Ronda has, garnered a lot of attention for the UFC women, and I guess they're just trying to say this is a new era. And, respect the rest of the UFC women that are here right now.
You know what? You're 100% correct. And, Nunez, I feel, handled it the perfect way she could. Everybody was talking about how Ronda was the center of all the commercials, the promos. You didn't even see Nunez. You didn't even see the belt in all the promos until the end when they showed them facing off against each other. But Nunez was nowhere there. And you know what? The whole media stuff leading up to it, Ronda didn't do media. Nunez did. And Nunez said, a lot of times they asked her, how do you feel about you're not really in the promotional commercials and stuff? She was like, I don't have no problem with that because at the end of the day, I'm going to go to the ring, I'm going to fight her, and then we're all going to talk about me after. It's gonna be about me. It's not gonna be about her. And I liked that when I heard that from her the whole time. But I was still, on Ronda's side. I wanted her to have that comeback victory. And Nunez just came out blasting, kind of the way that we came out starting this episode. You know what I mean? She just came out blasting. She didn't give her the chance to even put her hands up and really soak in the fact that she's in a fight again. Like, it's been a more than a year since she got knocked out by Holly Holm, and it was like, she just didn't look right. Like, as soon as Nunez touched her up and laid those hands on her, it was a wrap, man. She was like stumbling and looking stiff and funny, and I was telling you, like, yo, her shoulders got big and she looks more lean. I think all that working into that, she was standing too straight up. Her shoulders were mad wide. It wasn't that Ronda that you're used to, like, grabbing girls up and getting her way with them. It was crazy, man. But besides that fight, it was just a night of upsets, I'll say, because we talked about Dominic Cruz and Cody Garbrandt, man, and that was another one. I know you liked that fight when you saw that fight because Cody's the type of guy, he has knockout power. He was 10-0. Man, like, he was just embarrassing dudes, and my predictions were if it goes past the first round, Dominic Cruz's experience was gonna take over. He was gonna wear him down. His footwork, you're gonna see a lot of beautiful footwork. And I don't know if Garbrandt could go that distance because I've only seen him probably go to the second round the furthest since he's been in the UFC. But Garbrandt handled it like a true professional, better than anybody who ever has stepped in that octagon with Dominic Cruz has ever handled it. To the point where Dominic Cruz was using the footwork and doing his herky-jerky shoulder with the heads, like trying to fake where he's going to come from, and he looked stupid doing it. Like Garbrandt was just like, "What's up?" Like my girl was watching it with me, and she's seen Dominic Cruz fight before, but she's never really been into Dominic Cruz like that. And she was watching this fight. She was like, "Man, okay, I remember him from the Uriah Faber beefs and all that." And she was like, "I think he's gonna win." But then she was like, "Man, he looks dumb. Like, why is he doing that stuff when it's not even working on that kid? That kid was not." Like anticipating what he was gonna do. He was just like, I know what you're gonna do. I'm just gonna lay these hands on you, and when I get the chance, I'm gonna drop you, embarrass you, and do what I gotta do. It was crazy, man. That was crazy.
I that was the first time I saw Cody Garbrandt and even Dominique Cruz. Admittedly, I'm not a UFC guy. Like I try to catch the big fights, like the Rousey fight, for example. The Rousey Holly Holm fight I saw. So I don't see much of them. This is my first time seeing Garbrandt, and he just looked like he was playing with Dominic Cruz after a while. He was getting on the mat, like I believe he got into the push-up position at some point, like just messing with him, like dancing. There was one point where Cruz was trying to hit him with a flurry, and Garbrandt weaved everything. It was crazy. It like the quickness that Cruz tried to hit him with that flurry, and the fact that nothing touched Garbrandt, I was like, "Yo, this was it."
Yo,
like,
facts.
I don't know about either of them, so I don't know the hype going into it,
Bro,
really.
Man.
But when I saw it, I was like, "Man, this guy looks like he's playing with him."
For you, the first time seeing them to bring that moment up, it's crazy because what you're saying Garbrandt did to Cruz is what Cruz does to everybody else. With that whole style, he makes you miss, he makes you look bad, and he laughs at you. You know what I mean? And Garbrandt is around our age. He's only like 2 years older, 3 years older. He's 25. And he specifically said, like, since I got into MMA, since I've been watching MMA since I was 12, this is the guy I knew I was going to be in his weight class, and I was coming for this guy since I got into MMA. Like, however many years he's been in it, he has an amateur boxing record of like 33 wins and 1 loss. So he has hands. But he got into MMA, and he knew that this was the guy he was coming for. And it's just crazy how he Dominic Cruz, like Joe Rogan was saying. And it's just unfathomable. You know what I mean? But it was amazing.
It was crazy.
Yep, and besides that, some honorable mention matches. TJ Dillashaw, I don't know if you caught his match against John Lineker. Well, that was a good one. TJ Dillashaw is the former champ as well. Dominic Cruz beat him for the belt when Dominic Cruz was out on injury. Cruz actually comes from the same camp that Garbrandt's from, so they know each other very well. But Dillashaw comes from that camp. But Dillashaw ended up leaving that camp when he became the champ. And he trains out in Colorado now. So he might get the next title shot, which is going to be a really good matchup if Dillashaw and Garbrandt face off. And John Lineker is another guy. He's short, stocky, but he throws bombs. His nickname is Hands of Stone. Like Roberto Duran. Like, his nickname's Hands of Stones. He puts you to sleep. And he could not touch Dillashaw. Dillashaw took him down, ground and pounded, was hitting him with some elbows. But Lineker did not go out. He took it like a champ. Even Dillashaw said at one point when I was elbowing him on the floor, he was throwing his head into my elbows. Like, hit me harder. Like, this dude's crazy. But it was a great fight as well. The whole card was amazing. What a way to finish off 2016. I look forward to the next card and the next year coming up. Now there's a new ownership in UFC, so let's see what's gonna come up going forward. And yeah, man, that's it. That's UFC in a nutshell for last week. And I guess it's time that we move on. If you're ready to move on, you got any last thoughts?
Nah, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Back to the regularly scheduled program. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw, and then we're going to follow that up with Smackdown Live. All right? So, starting off with Raw, the champ Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho kicked off the show, if I'm not mistaken.
They
No,
did.
or
Right.
Mick Foley.
I
One of,
just know they were all in the ring
one
together.
of, at the end of the day, Raw started off with Foley, Jericho, and Kevin Owens, and Jericho told Foley like he doesn't appreciate the fact that he was hanging up. He's gonna be hanging up above the freaking ring, and Stephanie McMahon comes out and all that, and Kevin Owens like, why would you put him in there? Like what was it that you said you look like? And Jericho's like a sexy pinata. I'm hanging over the ring like a sexy pinata. That was so fucking funny, bro. Like, I just had to bring that up. Like, it wasn't even an important opening segment, but that was like the highlight. Like, on my notes, I literally wrote, great opening segment, sexy pinata. Literally. But yeah, so Stephanie says she didn't appreciate what's it called Foley making that stipulation, but hey, he can do that. But the same way Foley didn't appreciate her putting Zayn in a last man standing match, and basically they break it all down to like basically uh Owens would be fighting Rollins, and whoever loses is banned from ringside against Jericho versus Roman for the U.S. title, because they're going to give Jericho another shot tonight. And we kicked it off like that. And the first match of the night was Owens versus Rollins, which to me was a solid match. Nothing crazy. But like I say every week, they are the two best storytellers when it comes to that ring. And I just love seeing them together. I would love to see them wrestle 100 times a year, as long as there's like a meaning behind the match. You know what I mean? But yeah, solid match. Owens got the DQ. I have no clue why. I don't know if that was part of a strategy, but hey, that's how it ended. How'd you feel about that match?
You know why you say it every week that Rollins and Owens are the two best storytellers? Because it feels like they're in a match every single week. Raw does not change up its match. They've been just alternating Reigns, Jericho, Owens, Rollins for the last like month. It feels like, and so I mean, again, we see this match. I'm better with it because it has stipulations. Um, Good match, solid match, as you would expect from the two of them. But the ending was just, why would Owens, unless Owens is purposely trying to sabotage Jericho, low key, like, I don't see why he would get himself disqualified. And then he was acting as though it was a shock that he got disqualified for it.
Yeah, that was weird.
It just didn't really make sense. It didn't really add up. Owens can't beat anyone still, as I've mentioned last week. They just don't want to give Owens a victory unless Jericho is helping him, and it's not Reigns or Rollins he's against. Well, against Rollins, if Jericho helps, they'll give Owens the win. But against Reigns, it doesn't even matter, and I don't know, it's just he looks weak still. Again, he couldn't come out with the win, and he wasn't ringside for the match later in the night.
Sadly, you are correct, and yeah, like I would have been fine with it if at least at the end of the show it tied in somewhere, like it tied some loose ends there, but they made no mention of the fact he DQ'd himself. And like I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Like, why would they do that, man?
It doesn't really make sense to me. Maybe, hopefully, they make mention of it next week, or it's like a long-term kind of strategy Owens has going on. Just like Jericho, and I can see it because Jericho was faking that he wasn't Owens' best friend for a couple of weeks before the pay-per-view, where he finally reveals the whole thing,
Yeah.
and awards Owens the title by code breakering.
I just hope that they don't continue to try to do it and just switch it the other way. But besides that, man, we'll just move on from here. And the next match was Carl Anderson versus Cesaro. Cesaro and Sheamus come out first. Sheamus goes on commentary. Luke Gallows comes out with Carl Anderson. He stays ringside. Solid match. Kind of a quick match. Basically, Gallows went to get involved. Sheamus came down from the announcer's table and try to save him. Somehow they all ended up getting into it. I guess Gallows and Sheamus on the sidelines and stuff. And Carl Anderson hits him with a finisher and actually pins Cesaro, which was a surprise to me. But I guess that's the feud they're gonna go with going forward. And yeah, it wasn't really that much of a big part of the show though.
To me, I'm used to seeing them have the club in like singles matches or non-title tag matches and winning. Like I've seen, we've seen the club, and whether it's Anderson or Gallows, be in a match with a member of the New Day, and Anderson or Gallows pick up the singles victory. We've seen that. We've seen the club dominate the New Day in non-title matches, whether it's singles matches or tag matches, only to lose at the pay-per-view. And that's how they try to build the feud. They try to make the club look good during the week on Raw, and then they ultimately lose at the pay-per-view. I don't expect the club to take the titles off Cesaro and Sheamus anyway. So if that's what they're going for in the pay-per-view, I expect Cesaro and Sheamus to retain anyway. Again, it just feels like we're just waiting for the inevitable. Cesaro Sheamus win. It's nothing surprising, nothing new, nothing fresh.
I get where you're going with that, and I completely understand that you feel that way. But for some reason, something in me was like, "Damn, Carl Anderson got the win." I'm like, man, watch at the Royal Rumble, they win the belts, like, and Cesaro and Sheamus don't even hold the belts for that long. Like, I could see WWE doing it. I'm not saying I believe it will happen, but I can see it happening. Who knows? One thing I would say about Sheamus on commentary, he did mention, like, we're not dumb to the fact that, who Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows is. These guys have accomplished a lot of things in New Japan, and they're champions, and I know that they're here to get gold. So, like, just him throwing that hand is like, okay, so maybe they might take them serious. This might be a serious storyline, but we just got to wait and see.
I like it. I like that, he's putting them over on commentary. That's important because when you're a team that gets as many losses as the club, you kind of need someone to make you look somewhat better. I understand what you're saying. I kind of like what you're saying, and I like the idea. I don't like the idea necessarily, but I can picture it happening because they just kind of did something similar with the Wyatts.
You're right.
So,
facts.
And as we've mentioned before, Cesaro and Sheamus, they're not the best of friends,
Yep.
And if they were perhaps going for a Cesaro Sheamus Mania match or something, then I can see them breaking them up at some point. I believe the Rumble is Raw's last pay-per-view because I believe the only one after is the Chamber, and that's Smackdown, correct?
Fastlane.
Raw has Fastlane still?
Raw has Fastlane still, I think.
Okay, so then I would expect. I mean, you could expect.
I think at least.
You could expect them to lose the titles at Rumble. That starts their feud, and then Fastlane they have a rematch. They lose, and that
Mania blow off
enhances the feud, and then Mania they have their match. So I could see it, and that kind of would be shocking. But it would be dope at the same time. It would be a swerve that we're not really expecting at this point. So I guess you kind of got me interested there. But fuck Raw anyway. Let's keep it moving.
You know what? I tend to do that, but I'm always wrong. So don't listen to me. Trust me. But moving on. They had a great package after that freaking match between, like, it was a promotion, a whole thing about Zayn and Strowman. Did you catch that? Yo, it was because I guess why I liked it so much, because I'm not used to them playing packages like that on Raw. I'm used to it maybe like the pre-show before pay-per-view or during the pay-per-view, but they put a package like it was a pay-per-view together for Zayn and Strowman before their match, and that shit was dope. Like the way they just like put all the stuff, the footage from last week and the week before, and Roadblock and one. It was really awesome. I got to give WWE props for that. And then I guess it might have went to commercial. As you know, I don't watch it on live TV because I hate commercials. But it came back with the Goldberg package, like the whole he beat Brock Lesnar and the Royal Rumble. I think they played it last week as well, but I actually like that package too.
one of my favorite parts about them doing a package for Strowman and Zayn is because I believe we mentioned it on the Roadblock podcast that they didn't really have a nice package for Strowman and Zayn. I remember mentioning that all the other packages were dope, like usual on pay-per-views, but the Strowman and Zayn package, it didn't even have a song set to it in the background. Like, it was just kind of lackluster. I remember saying that coming off of the Roadblock pay-per-view on the podcast, and so I'm glad they did that. It also reminded me of, I don't know if you caught NXT, but before the Fatal 4-Way match for the number one contender for the NXT Championship, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, they actually did a package on NXT prior to that main event. So I thought that was dope, and I like that package too. And I kind of like that they hype it, especially on a 3-hour show like Raw. It's important that they have a dope package like that to hype it for later, to keep you interested, you know, in case you want to fall asleep like I do sometimes. So,
I don't know, man. I feel like Raw was better than SmackDown this week. I just my opinion, man. I'm Mr. Raw, you're Mr. SmackDown. But
we're going to get into it.
We're going to get into it. And you know what? We're going to let the fans decide. The millions of people listening to this podcast around the world. All right?
2 million.
The 2 million. That's right. All right. So, moving on, though. The next match was that package. Zayn vs. Strowman, last man standing. I love the fact that this got a lot of time. A lot of storytelling was going on there. Fucking Zayn was shining Braun up, making him look like Vince McMahon's golden egg. That's going to make money for him at Mania. You know what I mean? They started off early. Zayn pulled out the kendo sticks. Had Strowman backpedaling a little, trying to get away. I don't think Strowman liked those stings from that kendo stick. While he was hitting him with the stick, there was a spot. He jumped on the side barricades and did a backflip, and he almost broke his neck. Like if Strowman wasn't there, Strowman caught him like mid-air, like he almost didn't land on Strowman. Strowman caught him, muscled him up like nothing happened. I guess maybe I noticed it more because I watch wrestling a lot. I'm a big fan, so I kind of peeped that it was almost a fuck up. But Strowman did what he had to do. He caught him, muscled him up, moved on with the match. Basically, Zayn got off him, went to jump through the ring post, do his little move. Strowman caught him with a right hand, dropped him. Like, yo, I was loving the transitions and the little spots in this match. Like, I really that should have been a Royal Rumble match. That really should have been a Royal Rumble match. Basically then they take it up the ramp. They were by the announcer's table. They was getting it in. They went backstage. They had some backstage moments. He threw him around. It gave me that old school Attitude Era feel we've been talking about lately. And it was just dope. They come back out. They're fighting out there. Zayn cross bodies Strowman off the edge of the stage through some tables. Like, it was just spot after spot. Zayn gets a chair, goes to hit him. He hits him in the back. Strowman turns around. Strowman's standing on like the ramp for the stage. Strowman picks Zayn up from the chair. They're both holding the chair and flings him down the ramp. Like, literally, he flings him to the damn ring. It was fucking awesome. Like, as you can tell, I really love this match. This was match of the night, man. This was match of the night. Basically, at this point, Zayn's like had enough. Strowman's just manhandling him, hits him with his finisher. They start counting. He breaks the count, picks him up, drops him again. They start counting. He breaks the count, picks him up in his finisher one last time. Boom, slams him. It's over. They count at 10. Strowman wins. He's like, yeah, I'm the man. I won. Mick Foley comes down with EMTs in a stretcher. They go to throw Zayn in the stretcher. Strowman's in the ring. Strowman goes to walk off. They got him all strapped up. They're about to strap up Zayn. Strowman says, nah, fuck that. Fucking throws the damn stretcher and shit. He comes after the stretcher, picks up Zayn, throws him into the barricade. Boom. And what does he say? Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Like, damn, what does that mean? Like, I just demolished you? What is that? Like, yo, I love that match. That was a really dope match, man.
I fucking love all of Strowman's lines. Like, it's just cool as fuck. Like, never would I imagine him to say something like ashes to ashes, dust to dust. That might have to be the name of this episode. That is a dope line. And when he said it, I was like, okay. But like you said, I'm glad they got time. This felt like the pay-per-view match they didn't have. Like, that's what this felt like, you know, with the package to go with it. It's a last man standing match. It deserves time. I presume that this is the end of their feud. So, you know, you had to go big for it. And they definitely did. They definitely did go big. You know, Zayn brings the energy. You know, didn't back down, fought his ass off. But at the end, you know, Strowman is strong. You're not taking out Strowman. You're not taking out Strowman easy. That spot where, you know, Zayn jumps through the turnbuckle kind of thing, like from outside the ring to where he goes for the DDT usually.
The ring post.
And Strowman just, oh man, and he just dropped him.
Yeah.
That was dope.
That was dope.
The spot through the table was dope. Off the stage, it was a dope match. Like you said, my favorite of the night. It was coming into Raw. It was one of the few things I knew I was interested in because they had mentioned it last week when Strowman had cut the promo with Stephanie and she granted him the match. So I came in looking forward to this match and it did not disappoint at all.
Someone on Raw's creative team was like, thank God we booked this match since, you know, SmackDown beat them in the ratings last week, which they actually mentioned in the opening segment as well. We forgot to mention Stephanie was like, I am not happy about that. I'm disappointed. That's the first time ever that they have beat them in the ratings. But, you know, if anyone tuned in the first hour of Raw, I know they sure didn't tune out because that match was amazing. That match was definitely amazing. 5-star match. Moving on. They show highlights of the Gentleman's Duel from 205 Live. It was Jack Gallagher versus Daivari. He's hitting him with the umbrella and doing all kinds of funny shit. I was like, damn, 205 is getting creative, but I still ain't checking for them yet. But it was not bad. Seemed pretty cool. That leads to Jack Gallagher backstage, though, with New Day. And New Day comes out and basically they're joking with each other. It was funny because, you know, he has like an accent and all that, and basically the commentators say New Day's coming out and gonna have their New Year's resolutions. So I'm guessing that it went to commercial and came back from commercial and New Day came out. So as New Day's walking down to the ring, they stop at the bottom of the ramp and they just embrace the love, and everybody's like, "New Day rocks," and "New Day rocks," and they're just like dancing and embracing it. That shit was dope. They go back, they go in the ring, they start reflecting on their 2016 as the champs and how they broke a record, and basically Titus O'Neil's music hits. But before it hits, I mean, actually, how can I forget? Before it hits, you hear Titus O'Neil in the back go, "Oh, don't you dare be sour!" And like doing the whole New Day gimmick. That shit was funny. So he comes out and he's like, "Listen, I want to be down with New Day." No, he's like, "You need a fourth member." Basically, like, you need a fourth member, but who? And everybody's like, who? He's like, me. And he's like, you know, I need to be down. I got moves and all that, and I could play a instrument and all that type shit. And then Woods is like, no one touches my woman. And he's like, no, I got respect for Francesca. He was like, but I got my whistle. And he's like, New Day rocks. So he got his whistle and shit. That shit was funny. He ends up, though, getting into it with Woods and calling Woods the weak link. And Woods is like, if I'm the weak link, let's have a match. And they have a match that really wasn't nothing big. Just something to get by the time, filling some time on Raw. Because, like we said, it's 3 hours. It's a long show. and Woods ultimately ended up getting the win.
When Titus first came out, I thought, oh man, Titus O'Neil. Like, one thing I was afraid of is not having anything for the New Day going forward. That was one thing I was afraid of. And when Titus O'Neil came out, I was just like, see what I mean? This is what you got for the New Day. So I was surprised when he was trying to like suck up to them and become the fourth member, which I wouldn't mind the New Day expanding, I guess. Titus, I feel like kind of brings them down a little bit with, you know, his track record. But when he was, you know, it wasn't, at first I thought, this is kind of corny and whack. And then it kind of started making me laugh. And it reminded me of Titus O'Neil with that whistle, reminded me of Terry Crews in White Chicks. Dancing on the dance floor with the whistle and the lights. And I was like, if they could book Titus like Terry Crews in that movie, they got it. They got me. Ultimately, though, it leads to, you know, a little match between Woods and Titus, which who knows if that even goes anywhere. But so I don't know. I'm just kind of left with question marks. I guess even if it doesn't go anywhere, it's supposed to serve as a little break, a little bit of entertainment for Raw. Yeah. You know, we want to see the New Day, regardless of whether they have anything or not. I'm happy that they still say that they were the longest reigning WWE World. Like, I like that they do that without the titles because that's still so over. So
yep,
it was cool to see the New Day. I guess question marks as far as where it's gonna lead.
Yeah.
And not the good kind of question marks.
I know, right? I mean, at least, you know, New Day can still have that like comedic relief for everybody and still be so engaged with the fans. Let's just hope, you know, they get something going pretty soon. Maybe even if one of them goes for a singles run, like, who knows? Like, after WrestleMania, son, even though it is like, what, 3 months away, 2 months away, some shit like that. But who knows? Like, I would like to see them not only go for tag team gold. You know what I mean? But moving on, there was a backstage segment. Nothing really too crazy, nothing important. We might just have to skim through this and talk about only the important things. Because, you know, we do got a lot of wrestling to talk about. But Stephanie was backstage with Bayley. Bayley was like, you know, I appreciate being on Raw and having an opportunity to face Charlotte. But why would you let Dana Brooke be the referee last week? And Steph basically told her, like, listen, I didn't even want you on Raw. Like, you just don't cut it. Like, straight up, she told her. She was like, I just took you because of Foley, but, you know, Charlotte is a person with a name. She got money, and her attorneys are good. Like, basically, she told her, like, and she was like, but you know what? I'll give you an opportunity tonight to face Nia Jax. If you could beat her, you get your shot. Boom. Moving on.
Wait, you know what my biggest takeaway from that segment was?
What was that?
Stephanie doesn't even watch Raw. She doesn't even contribute to the Raw rating, so there.
All right, you just had to put them down like that, huh? All right, I gave you a shot. All right, moving on. Noam Dar, Cedric Alexander, they're backstage. Dar apologizes to Cedric, and he's like, "You don't have to apologize to me. You got to apologize to Alicia." And he was like, "I apologize, sweet cheeks." And basically, they're like, "Oh my God, you're a dog." Boom. That leads to, I guess they took a break, and Cedric Alexander faced Drew Gulak. Same as usual, short, solid cruiserweight match. You know, Cedric got his little spots in and all that good stuff, but then somehow Alicia Fox and Tony Nese got involved, and Gulak got the roll up pin and won. Nothing big, didn't entice me to even try to watch 205 Live, so to me, they're failing with that. But moving on now, the next important match, Reigns vs. Jericho. Reigns vs. Jericho was a good match. You know, I was just watching, I was being skeptical about it because, like you said, every week they find a way to just supplement each other and have the same matches between the same guys. But starting off, you know, it was slow. But then Jericho got Reigns in the walls of Jericho, and the crowd went nuts. Like, when Jericho got him in the first walls of Jericho, Yo, the crowd went crazy, and from there, things just turned around. Like the match just picked up. They had some dope spots. Jericho had like a few reversals of the spear. Basically, Reigns hit his head. No, Reigns ran into the turn post and fell on the floor or something. The referee was like checking on him, and Jericho goes and takes the turnbuckle off and exposes it with the metal part on the other end. And the referee's like, "What the fuck you doing?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Goes to attend to that. While he's going to attend to the turnbuckle, Jericho runs out, gets the belt, and basically comes in the ring. Everybody's like, "Damn, is he gonna hit him?" And Reigns looks at him. He throws the belt, throws himself on the floor. The old school Eddie Guerrero. Biggest pop of the night for me, outside of the last man standing match, was that tribute to Eddie Guerrero, because that's what I relate that move to, is Eddie Guerrero, rest in peace. And yo, that shit was so fucking dope, yo. But basically, the referee turns around and he doesn't know. He's like, "Nah, I don't think Reigns." Like, he wasn't sure, so he didn't call it off. All in all, Jericho gets up, hits him with a cold break, goes for the pin. He kicks out. And then there's a sequence where Jericho goes to run into the corner to hit Reigns. Reigns moves out. He hits his head on the corner. Reigns bounces off the ring. The rope. Spear. 1, 2, 3. It's over. No interruptions by anybody. So that was cool. It was a clean win with some dope spots. How'd you feel about that?
Nobody else could see it when you do it, but I could tell your disappointment. I could see your disappointment when you said that Reigns kicked out of the code breaker. I could see it. The energy drained from your face. I could see it because, and I can agree with that feeling if that feeling is what you're feeling.
I am,
and I'm judging you correctly. Yes. It was beautiful. Undoing the turnbuckle. And then using that to distract the referee to then run out and get the title. And then, like you said, the Eddie Guerrero tribute to pass Reigns the belt and to fall on the mat. And then one of my favorite parts was that Jericho like peeks. I love the peek where he lifts his head up to peek at Reigns and the ref. And but I was disappointed. Like, if you're gonna use that kind of tactic, that Eddie Guerrero tribute. And we didn't even mention I don't believe we mentioned the stipulation, the biggest stipulation,
You're
that
right.
no DQ and count out, that those would still allow the belt to change hands.
Yup.
So that just felt like the perfect moment to either DQ Reigns and give Jericho the title. And then, okay, so they don't do that. For some reason, Reigns doesn't get disqualified. Okay, cool. And then Jericho hits him with the code breaker, which is... It's like, how
it
do you
still
mess
doesn't
this
win.
up?
I
How
know.
do you mess this up? How can you possibly mess this up?
Especially, not to cut you off, if Jericho was gonna win the belt, he held every belt ever. Like,
Wow,
in
Jericho's
WWE.
never held the U.S. title.
That's the only belt he's never held.
This was the moment. That just adds to it. This was the moment to give Jericho that title. Just everyone wanted it. Like, I don't know how you mess this up, and then you kick out of the code breaker again because you kick out of every single finisher. It's just unbelievable booking in favor of Reigns sometimes. Just anyone else, that's it. That's the match.
Yep.
Except save for maybe Cena.
Yeah.
But anyone else, that's it. That should be it.
Yep.
And what happens? He kicks out.
And then the first
and
time
the match continues. Ultimately, Jericho falls victim to his own heel tactic of undoing the turnbuckle and comes off, and Reigns spears him and ends the match 1, 2, 3. So yeah, no interference. So they didn't mess up the booking there, but Reigns still wins in a match that looked like he should have relinquished the U.S. title.
But it was a good match. It was a good match.
But it was a good match. They just messed that up. And they didn't mess it up because, like, oh, Jericho didn't win and Reigns retained. It's not as simple as that. It's the fact that the pieces were in place that it just seemed like, how can Jericho not win off something like this? It just added to the theme of Reigns' like super Cena kind of booking.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone's disappointed with. Nobody really hates Reigns the person. For any young listeners that think we just hate Roman Reigns, it's not the person. We know he's a victim of this booking, and this booking is that they just make him look way too powerful, and at the cost of anyone.
Yeah.
Don't make anyone lose to Reigns, and it makes everyone around him look weak. Anyone he's involved in, their momentum is killed. It's just not a good look, and this was another product of that.
Yeah, man. But let's talk about it, man. These past couple weeks, they've been teasing Jericho getting that U.S. title. And they didn't mention at all that he's never held it. That's the only belt until this week. So something tells me, like, somewhere Jericho's going to get that belt, because there's no way they're not going to let Reigns hold two belts if they do give Reigns the Universal belt. You know what I mean?
One thing that scares me about it is, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast. I don't know if I've mentioned this to friends or to you off the podcast. But one thing that scares me is they usually, if they want a mid-card title holder to go after the main title, they'll usually have them drop that mid-card title.
Yeah.
So if they do have Jericho beat Reigns and Reigns drops the U.S. title, then that scares me because it makes it seem like Reigns is definitely going to win the Universal title at the Rumble.
Yeah, but let's not forget, Rollins held the U.S. and the WWE Heavyweight Championship, but the only thing is, like, the next night he dropped the U.S. belt, like, right back to Cena, like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, let's see where they go with that. Moving on, now this is where we get into those, like, little filler segments. We don't really gotta expand too much thoughts about. Brian Kendrick faced T.J. Perkins. Right before the match started, they showed Neville facing Swan at 205 Live, and Neville destroyed Swan and beat him, but he's not the champ. It wasn't for the belt. Makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me.
They're just trying to prolong it, I guess. Now, I guess that means he's earned the title shot.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're trying to save it for the Rumble. I don't know. But.
Yeah, but all in all, it was a short match. Solid match, as usual. Perkins got the win. Hit him with the move where he throws him off his shoulders and hits him with his foot, like AJ Styles does, the backwards kick type shit. And once he fell on the floor, automatic got him in the knee bar, move, finisher, makes him tap. Moving on, they put up the package promoting that not this Saturday, but next Saturday is the UK tournament for the belt. It's going to be 2 nights, which I'm interested to see. It's 16 people, and it's basically the first round or 2 of matches is going to be the 15th, and then this next round and then the final is going to be the 16th. So that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. And then from there, they have a backstage segment, very short, I guess, because they were going to commercial, of Enzo and Cass, and he's in a electric wheelchair, and they're just popping shit. And he's like, I can't fight tonight. He was like, don't worry, I'm gonna take both of them on. It's gonna be a 2-on-1, and it's a 2-on-1 handicap match, short match. I don't got shit to say about this match. Like, Rusev basically got the pin on Cass. They beat him. Jinder tried to go outside and start with Enzo, and Enzo was popping shit like, you trying to start with a man in a wheelchair? You softer than ice cream. You softer than ice cream. That was the best part of the match. But other than that, the fucking match was trash. The whole storyline's whack. Everything that we wanted them to do with this storyline, they have not done. It keeps being short, little fucking stupid matches. And I don't even want to fucking talk about it.
It's, for me, I just hate that. Well, Enzo's not actually injured, so I kind of hate that they're just sacrificing Enzo to ultimately, build Cass up, and it seems like they've totally taken Enzo and Cass out of the tag team title picture, and I don't know, whack.
Moving on. Nia Jax has a match with Bayley, and honestly, I'm interested in the women's storyline, but I just wasn't too interested in this match at this moment. I kind of, after the Strowman and the Reigns versus Jericho, which I think, held, Raw up there, And then I was just looking forward to seeing what was gonna happen now because I was like, wait a minute. When Jericho and Reigns had their match, I was like, damn, this should have been the main event. What the hell they gonna do now? And like I said, stupid little filler segments and the cruiserweights and all that. That then I was like, wait, is the women's match the headline? Like, are they closing the show? No, the KO show was closing it out. But all in all, Nia Jackson Bailey had a solid match. Charlotte was on commentary. Sasha Banks came out like when Nia Jax was about to crush Bailey. Bailey goes, Bailey jumps up on the ropes, does the Bailey plex from the second rope on the turnbuckle. Boom.
Bailey to belly. Don't disrespect Bailey to belly.
The Bailey to belly. All right, you know it better than me. I apologize. She hits her with the Bailey to belly. Boom. 1, 2, 3 gets the pin. Cool. How'd you feel about that?
I liked it. I like that Sasha distracts Nia. It helps Bailey get the win. So Bailey gets the win, and it doesn't make Nia look too bad because she was distracted. It doesn't do too much for Bailey because she didn't beat Nia exactly clean, but she does hold wins over Charlotte's head, so that already makes you interested enough. And you knew she was gonna come out the winner anyway because it's gonna be her and Charlotte at the Rumble. So reg shit.
Yep. Regular shit. After that, moving on, they promote the fact that Undertaker is gonna be on Raw next week. And,
let's talk about this.
And this that right there deserves the Nick Young, the Swaggy P meme with the question marks.
That does.
You know what I'm saying? Taker tomorrow, next week, okay. But they also what I noticed they hinted at was the fact that this is his first time back in New Orleans since the streak ended. So it has a purpose. So I can't knock that. They also promoted the fact that HBK is gonna be there next week, so that's cool.
I could still knock it. You say you can't, I could still knock it. I don't know the reason, but I feel like I understand. Okay, first time back in New Orleans, cool. Since the streak ended, I feel like this is it makes me wonder: did they have this planned all along, or is this Smackdown just beat us in the ratings last week? We got to get Taker on the show. We got to get Taker on Raw. Is this like a panic mode kind of thing? And I don't know. And whatever. I guess it's cool though. It is cool. Like I do want to see Undertaker. I do want to see HBK. I do wonder the reason for this. I just feel like this is a cry for help from Raw. They gotta advertise Undertaker and HBK for next week. That's how nervous they seem right now.
Yep. All in all, we end the show with the KO show, the first annual KO show, and what a way to kick off the KO show. I was really like feeling this whole KO show segment going on. The fact that they had literally had a man standing in the ring with the sign over his face saying the KO show. That beats every show there ever been. The Cutting Edge, the highlight reel, the Carlitos Cabana, all that shit gets put to rest once you have a man with a sign over his face. That was amazing. And then let's not also skim over the fact that they had a big ass table, 2 comfortable ass seats for Jericho and Owens, and then they have a little lawn chair, beach chair on the floor, like for Goldberg. Really? Kevin Owens starts putting over his first guest who dominated the Attitude Era and all that. And when he said, I'm like, Goldberg, Attitude Era. Okay, I could understand he was competing with the Attitude Era. But he switches over and goes, Chris Jericho! And Jericho's like, thank you. And everybody starts booing him. And he's like, wait a minute. He was like, you guys were just chanting for Goldberg. And now you guys don't want to chant? Now? You know what that does? He was like, you know what that does, right? And then KO's like, hold up. Take center stage for this. So he goes in the middle of the ring. He goes, Tampa's on the list. The whole Tampa. Not just the crowd. The Tampa is on the list. That shit was funny. I fucking loved them. Jericho announces breaking news. He's going to be in the Rumble. basically Owens is like, what you mean though? Like, what happens if you win? I don't want to face my best friend. And he's like, nah, it doesn't matter. Regardless whether the belt switches hands, we're both the champ. And Owens like, I understand, but I don't want to fight you, man. Like, okay, because you getting over on Jericho, and it's about time Jericho's gonna get fed up with this shit.
I liked how when Jericho was like, oh no, it's cool because no matter what, no matter who wins, we are still the Universal Champ. Like I liked how like calm and cool Jericho was about it. Like he doesn't care about the result. He just knows. But low key, Jericho knows this is my shot. This is my champ. But I could put it past him by saying we're still the Universal Champ, and it's basically exactly like you said. Owens is getting over right now on Jericho with this shit. And even though they say we are the champion, that Owens wants the title, and Jericho wants the title. So
yep.
A little bit of friction, a little tiny hint of friction there still.
But all in all, Goldberg interrupts them, and Goldberg's walking through the back. The crowd's chanting Goldberg. He comes out. As soon as he comes out, what's his name? Owens is like, Bill, please have a seat. Have a seat. Bill. And Goldberg looks at him. But it was funny to me that he calls him by his first name, Bill. He's like, Bill, have a seat, man. Goldberg picks up the chair, throws that shit, and Y2J goes, you're gonna come in here throwing furniture? You're going on the list. Like, you know what happens. You're going on the list. But Goldberg basically just like, no. I think Owens like, how you gonna come in here? You want to throw stuff around? I'm supposed to be intimidated by that. He starts throwing, and they go face to face. And honestly, seeing Owens face to face with him, it wasn't that big of a mismatch because Goldberg's like that strong powerhouse old school dude. You know what I mean? And Owens is different for being a champion now. Like he's chubby, but he's athletic, and he isn't the face that everybody typically pictures as the champ. But seeing them together, I was like, damn, that'll be a dope clash, right? How'd you feel about that?
I liked it. I did love that Owens was not afraid to step up to him. Owens stepped up like, you know what? Take me serious, dog. You throwing my shit around, you know what? All right, let me get in on this. Throw some shit around. Step up to you. And it was super different from the usual Owens we see that backs out and is that coward. So I did enjoy that he stepped up to Goldberg.
And as he steps up to him and it's getting intense, Heyman comes out and Heyman's like, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. I'm the advocate for Brock Lesnar. And I got something to say, but Brock Lesnar isn't here. Everyone starts booing. Heyman's popping his shit. He's like, basically what's going to happen is eat, sleep, elimination, repeat. Elimination, repeat. Elimination, repeat. And Goldberg interrupts him and says, listen, I'm going to take care of your client. But at the end of the day, everyone's getting put on notice, and I want a title shot, and I don't care whether it's you, and he goes in Owens' face, or Roman Reigns. And at that moment, Reigns' music hits, Reigns comes out, and straight up just comes up to Goldberg and just stares him down face to face. And I was like, ooh, that's another matchup with, like, Goldberg is really fitting in. Like, I'm still not confident in him having a full-on fledged match at his age. I mean, he looks healthy. He's in shape. He's ripped. But that first initial return when he jackhammered Rusev, it wasn't looking that good. It was looking a little shaky. I mean, he made up for it at Survivor Series when he jackhammered Brock Lesnar, but he didn't have Brock Lesnar up there that long. You know what I'm saying? But all in all, Braun Strowman interrupts. Braun Strowman comes down, and Braun Strowman's talking about that he was gonna win or some shit, but he's on the ropes. He comes in, and they look at each other. They look at him. Spear, both of them, double spear. Boom, close the show. Shit was dope. It was a great finish to the show. How'd you feel about the end?
I enjoyed the mere chaos of it. Like I always like when people start popping up that you don't expect to pop up. So like Braun Strowman popping up was dope. Which it reminds me of like Smackdown when like everybody was coming out to claim that number one contender and Harper shows up. You know, it's just like a random kind of like But it's cool, it's cool when you see that, especially because Strowman kind of is dominant, and he does, deserve to be in that picture right now.
Yeah, man.
So I like that. I enjoyed the thing that scares me about. I like seeing Reigns and Goldberg go face to face like that, but you know how I always talk about there are people who carry matches, and then if Goldberg can't, if it's not a sure thing that Goldberg can carry a match, Reigns isn't the kind of guy that carries matches. He's kind of the guy that takes a beating and then hits you with the Samoan drop, and then hits you with the drive by, and then hits you with the Superman punch 4 times, and then hits you with a spear. Like that's his kind of thing. So I wouldn't know how a match between the two of them would go. So I don't know if that's what they're planning. I do like that we don't know what they're going for me. Like it doesn't seem clear. Like they're setting up so many alternate potential storylines where like maybe we can see Jericho Owens at Mania. Maybe we'll see, there's so many. Maybe we'll see Goldberg Lesnar again at Mania. Maybe we can see Goldberg Reigns at Mania. Oh, Strowman could be involved. Maybe Strowman Reigns at Mania. Like they're setting up so many alternate kind of plot lines. And so I don't mind that at all. I actually enjoyed that.
Yeah, I agree with you because this is like the first time in years, maybe since I was like a kid, that I really don't know what they're planning going forward for WrestleMania. Because usually, at least in the last 4 to 5 years, we have a pretty good understanding come Royal Rumble what the matches are gonna be. You know what I mean? And this time around, I don't know, and I think we can like credit that to the brand split, cause like the brand split just like you said, the chaos of everyone coming in and out at the end of the show, the brand split made chaos like what are we gonna do for the big show, the Mania? You know what I mean? So I dig that, man. But all in all, I thought the fact that Owens and Rollins had a solid match, and then Strowman and Zayn had match of the night, amazing match, and then Reigns and Jericho had a pretty dope match, and I was big on the whole gimmick finish and all that with the title, and then the way that they closed with the KO show, man, I was like, man, SmackDown got their money's worth. Like with this match, they beat them in the ratings last week. But I mean, with this show, it's gonna be hard to top that. So I don't know how you feel. You think SmackDown topped it? You think SmackDown topped it?
No shit, stupid. I don't even gotta get excited. I don't even gotta get hype. I don't even gotta go at you with words. I just hit you with those 3.
I like that. I respect that. It's okay.
I mean, it was a good show. You're absolutely right. It did have good moments. But the thing that hurts Raw is that when you take those into account, that's probably a solid hour and a half tops. Yeah. Probably closer to an hour 15, hour 20, and which means that the rest of the show. It means that a little more than half of the show is just which when you can't get 50% of your show, like SmackDown has the advantage because it's a shorter show, so there's less filler like we've talked about. So that's the disadvantage Raw is working at, because when you look at it overall, even though they had a bunch of good moments, you can look at it and say, well, the other half of the show was trash. But if they were in a 2-hour time slot like SmackDown, then that could have filled almost the whole show.
And that's
so I understand what you're saying.
That's my whole thing, is the fact that like it was like 3 solid matches with a great finish for a segment at the end. And honestly, SmackDown is only 3 matches throughout the whole show. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's basically kind of equal. But moving on, we're going to talk about SmackDown. And you are Mr. SmackDown. And the number one most see TV in all of WWE, The Miz, started off SmackDown in the middle of the ring demanding an apology from a woman who knows who she is. And all she had to do, since it was a new year, was come out and apologize. And
he deserves it. He deserves that apology.
It was taking time. And he was like, come on, Renee Young. Come on out here and apologize. But who came out instead?
Was it Ambrose?
Ambrose, come on, Mr. SmackDown. Ambrose came out. No talking, went straight into the ring. And what does Miz do? He goes behind his wife,
like
jumps on the turnbuckle, And not only did he go behind his wife, he went outside the ring, like you know what I mean, on the ring apron, on the edge, and then Ambrose goes to go around, and as he goes to the right, Maurice moves to the right like a G. He goes to the left. Maurice
don't
moves
fuck
to the.
around. I'm gonna just let y'all
Maurice
know. Now I
moves
know
to the
Marie's
left.
a real bitch. She don't fuck around.
She holding her man down. She's willing to catch fades like Soldier Boy for her man.
Definitely.
But moving on from that.
No. Let's not move on. Cause she willing to catch phase like Soldier Boy for me. She also willing to smack a nigga around like Chris Breezy might.
Oh, okay, okay.
So what? Unless I'm getting this wrong, did she not?
Oh yeah, she did. My bad. I forgot. She smacked the shit out of Dean Ambrose, and then they walked off like two bosses, and Ambrose grabbed the mic and was like, you know what? I guess I had the hardest part of my night because she hits way harder than you do.
Yeah. Well, we'll see him now. Why am I such a heel guy? I'm not even just a SmackDown guy anymore. I'm just a heel guy now. No, but yeah, no, it was a good segment. I like it. I love Maurice. She just, like you said, she just holds her man down. So.
Right. But can we move on now?
Yes, we can.
Because I'm tired of talking about the Miz, all right?
Okay, we got to move on.
But we move on. Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler. Another solid match between these two. Dope couple spots. It wasn't that long of a match because we don't have that much time on SmackDown. But all in all, Baron Corbin got the win. And, I know you was feeling the end of this. You want to let them know how it ended?
I was fucking hype about the end of this. So, Corbin, first of all, I love that they give Corbin the clean win over Ziggler. Really, that's what I love about SmackDown. There's no, gimmicky finishes too often. They're not afraid to, have someone go over and have someone grab a win, And then, what was it? Was Corbin going to destroy Ziggler a bit more? what was about to happen? But I Corbin went. Was going to happen.
He went and got chair. He got a chair.
There you go. And Kalisto comes out. Which for a minute I was like, oh god, are they gonna bring up Kalisto and Corbin again? That's stupid as fuck. Minus points for SmackDown, but then in typical SmackDown fashion, they surprise me and go a different route. And basically, Kalisto scares Corbin off, kind of, I guess. Whatever. Corbin just leaves, he not dealing with this type shit. And I sensed it because I could just see the frustration from Dolph Ziggler after taking another loss, and he's just standing behind Kalisto, and then Kalisto, who just helped him, turns around right into a super kick, and the crowd actually popped crazy too, because everybody fucks with that heel Ziggler shit.
Of course.
So that was dope to me. So basically, like I said, SmackDown was gonna disappoint me if they were trying to set up a Kalisto Corbin thing, but this was only to basically encourage the Ziggler heel turn, basically.
Yeah.
So
I dig it.
I loved it.
I dig it for sure. I mean, like you said, I saw that face. Yeah, I took another L, and now little man coming out here to save me. Nah, B. It ain't going down like that.
I love that you mentioned that it's Lil Man. Kalisto saved me. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. But that adds a whole other element to it for me. So, I dug it.
I mean, not to call him Little Man and all that, because, TV is a motherfucker. Perception is everything. But, he's probably my height, for all I know. Because I ain't tall.
Tell the people your height.
I'm about 5'5", 5'6" on a good day. You know what I'm saying?
5'6" when you stretch in the morning.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I dig the heel Ziggler and the whole turn, especially what we saw later on from him. But I guess they went into a commercial, came back. James Ellsworth was backstage with Carmella, which I'm definitely not feeling. I'm really not feeling this shit. I mean, I like where they're going, but I'm just not feeling the fact that my man's pulling that. Like Carmella, for real. But I know what Carmella's doing. We ain't dumb. We know what she's doing. Yeah.
Just about to say, how you not feeling this? Because I spoke about it. This was what I predicted. That she's smart enough. She's evil enough. She can pull this off, and she's just using him as a pawn. And you could see that because when he came up on her, she was kind of like, "What the fuck is you talking to me for?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I guess she really she caught herself, and she was like, "You know what? Yeah." And then she started being nice to him again. But they showed us that she don't really fuck with him like I expected, and he's just a pawn in her game. And ultimately, what is gonna further her? It's helping her basically because now we already know, just like we saw later in the night, which we'll get into, he basically contributes to her victory.
Yep, and from there they do another backstage segment with Ziggler coming into the locker room, tearing shit up, and Apollo Crews is like, "Yo, calm down and shit. Like, honestly, what you did to Kalisto wasn't really cool, man. That's my friend." And he was like, "Oh, you got a problem with it?" Boom, headbutts him, starts brawling with him. Mojo Rawley and Rhino got to break it up, and basically Apollo Crews is like, "Nah, fuck that. Like, we could get it in." He didn't literally say that, but that's my terms.
You read his mind.
I was reading his mind, and basically I was like, yo, good stuff because I've been talking about Apollo Crews, how I want them to give him something next. And I thought they were maybe gonna go the Kalisto Ziggler route, but if they go the Ziggler Crews route and somehow implement Kalisto in that whole scenario as well, I would more so like to see Crews versus Ziggler, and let's take Crews to the next level because he's good, man. He's talented. He just needs the right storyline.
Exactly. And again, I like that we're seeing new faces. We saw Kalisto come out of nowhere. Now Crews is involved with a guy like Ziggler who's just coming off that triple threat main event for the title. So he's Ziggler is gonna elevate them.
Yep.
So it's just SmackDown does this so flawlessly, where they implement new people into storylines, and I love that headbutt because to me, when a guy is willing to headbutt you, he's vicious. He's vicious and he's mad. Like,
yeah.
The fact that he was willing to headbutt him, I was like, damn, Ziggler's all the way here.
That's
like,
real.
They didn't just stop at a little frustrated and let me super kick Kalisto. This was like, nah, now I'm headbutting niggas in the back too. Like, you went hard.
Word. But moving on from that, we had Becky Lynch versus La Luchadora, and that was a cool little solid match. I see you itching to talk about that. You itching to talk about that. You go first.
Right. So interesting. This has been one of the more interesting storylines that SmackDown has for me, anyway, because nobody seems to have an understanding of it. There's nothing in the dirt sheets about who it could potentially be or what's going on. So we're all just kind of watching it unfold. And so we get the match, Becky versus La Luchadora, who cost her the match last week. And they're fighting, they're having a solid match, decent match, whatever. And La Luchadora escapes under the ring. And then from the other side of the ring comes out La Luchadora again. And the commentators are like, wow, she's so quick. She went under the ring. One side came out the other just to attack Becky Lynch from behind. And I was kind of convinced. I was just like, damn. And then they have La Luchadora beating up Becky Lynch. And then she's on the mat. And she goes up onto the turnbuckle for Twisted Bliss. I've been forgetting the name of the finisher all week, but I finally remembered it. And she misses the Twisted Bliss, if that's the name, I hope it is, and gets pinned. Oh, no, gets caught in the disarmer and taps. And when she did the Twisted Bliss, you were like, wait, hold on. And then Becky takes off La Luchadora's mask, and it's Alexa Bliss, which is confusing because last week was a different La Luchadora. It wasn't Alexa Bliss. The week before, it was Becky. Everyone's got this costume in their closet. What's going on? And then we see that it's Alexa Bliss revealed as La Luchadora. And then from under the ring comes the original La Luchadora, who they tried to play it off was the same one that came out from the other side of the ring, but it wasn't. And then they both start jumping Becky Lynch. We still don't know who the other La Luchadora is. And it's just, I'm still interested. Still interested.
It's definitely like a hook, line, and sinker. Like, they got you. you gotta watch. You gotta find out like who is this woman. And I give SmackDown props, man, because they just keep finding ways to keep you intrigued with the little bit of time that they have, and even with a short match, like a lot of this week had short matches in SmackDown that really didn't mean nothing, but this was one of those short matches that actually meant something and had a story and kept me intrigued, and I definitely was digging it. And I want to know who the hell is behind that mask, man. Like for real, shit's dope. But moving on from that, the next thing that they had was Daniel Bryan in the ring to oversee the contract signing between AJ Styles and John Cena. He introduces John Cena first. He introduces AJ Styles second. AJ Styles automatically just starts going off, and which was one of the like best promos from AJ Styles I've seen in a long.
It's the best promo of 2017.
I know, right?
That's an easy one.
It was only like the third promo of 2017 though. But yeah, man, it was dope. I mean, just when you thinking like, man, like we already seen AJ versus fucking John Cena, but then the way they ended it last week, where they shook each other's hand and basically was like, "I'm coming for that belt, and now you ain't taking nothing." And then this segment, I was like, man, I really want to see this match. Like Daniel Bryan was saying, this is the match that people want to see. We need to keep the ball rolling. We beat Raw in the ratings for the first time last week, and we're going to continue to do what we got to do to beat them. And it was just awesome, man. AJ was talking about that how Cena isn't cut from where they come from, and he's been handed everything, and he's lucky. How you miss 4 months, come back and get a title shot. After on Talking Smack, you were talking shit about The Rock and all that. Like you are nothing. Like it's all good because we all know you would never be with The Rock. Uh, was is, you know what I mean, you'll never live up to him. And basically he was like, because I guess John Cena took back everything that he had said about The Rock and was like, I was wrong. And then John basically was like, a real man knows when to admit his wrongs and all that. And John Cena went off on him too, but I was more so like stuck on what Styles said, because Styles went on for a minute before John talked, and I was digging that whole shit.
AJ hit on every fucking point that I was thinking. The fact that him and Daniel Bryan are cut from the same cloth and Cena ain't, and I love that he was like, oh, is it because he's basically your brother-in-law, and that's why he got the title shot. Another thing I love is how they were all trying to take credit for the ratings, for beating Raw in the ratings. Styles was like, I'm the reason, me as champ is the reason we beat Raw in the ratings. Cena can make the argument that it's his return that beat Raw in the ratings. Even Corbin, I believe, said something. I think it was on Talking Smack. Maybe it was on the show. I think it was on Talking Smack though, where he was like, "I was in the main event of the Smackdown that beat Raw in the ring." Like that's another like storyline they could milk going forward. Miz could get in on that and be like, "No, it's because I'm must see TV," and that's something they could roll with too, and I like that. But yes, Styles hit on every fucking point I would have wanted him to hit on. He mentioned, what did he mention? He mentioned that how can Cena just come in and get it? It's weird, but now it's a different feeling with this match. I know what you said, and I felt it too. Like, oh, Styles Cena again. But now it's like back then it was the Styles that needed a little bit of help, and it was the Styles that needed to kind of cheat. And that's how they booked it back then. But now the way Styles has looked, it's like this is the most dominant Styles has ever been on WWE. It hasn't been too long, but he's at the top of his game on WWE right now, and it's a different feel. It's like, okay, now there's not even going to be no gimmicks. I can't even see there being cheating in this match. I think it's just going to be a clean fight, and hopefully Styles wins, but we'll see. But I don't even think there's going to be any gimmicks. Like, it's just going to be a straight fire match.
And I feel they had the match of the year at SummerSlam last year, and this potentially, even though it's like the first pay-per-view of 2017, could be the match of this year going forward if nobody steps their game up, because Styles and Cena are coming to put on a show. And Styles also mentions like, you'll never be The Rock, in movies, and you'll never be me in this ring. And he signs the contract.
That was fucking awesome.
And then Cena was like,
it's fucking true. I'm sorry, it's fucking true. Everybody knows, if you know wrestling, you know that Cena will not be Styles in that ring. And, maybe Cena could be better than The Rock, but the Rock is the man in Hollywood, so...
But you know what? Cena keeps it short and simple and goes, you know what? You just made the biggest mistake by pissing off John Cena. And I lost a lot of respect for AJ. And right now, I see what I'm looking at is a punk little bitch.
Yep,
and he drops the bitch bomb again, like we've been talking about. And basically, he signs the contract, and Baron Corbin comes out and says, "You know what? At the end of the day, whoever wins out of you guys, I'm winning the Royal Rumble. I'm the first person from SmackDown announcing myself in the Royal Rumble. I'm gonna win that, and I don't care whether it's you or you. I'm coming for both of y'all." And then Cena was like, "You know what? I know this little punk ain't gonna do nothing. So you know what? You keep talking like that, I'm gonna have to step to you." And then Corbin was like, "Whatever. Let's go." And he was like, "Okay." He took his shirt off. He goes to step up to him, step in his face. AJ Styles sidelines him. Boom, with a kick to the head. Drops him, lays him out. Basically, they just leave him in there like embarrassed, like man, you pop that shit and you ain't gonna do nothing. Like we'll save it for the Rumble, Cena.
Cena had to keep it short and sweet because I just think he knew Styles killed that. Like Cena didn't even try to get crazy loud. Like it reminded me of like when CM Punk, which is what I was hoping for, the CM Punk Cena contract signings, where they were kind of like CM Punk was kind of going off and hitting on just so many dope points. Styles even got a has-been chant going for Cena, like against Cena. And I think Cena was smart to just keep it short and to the point. And I'm John Cena recognized. I'm that man basically. Because the point Styles made, you couldn't even really argue it. And it's absolutely true. Everything Cena said about The Rock back in the day, that is what he's doing. Like, and Cena could say, "Oh, The Rock left. Everybody thinks I left, but I'm still like, nah, bro. You just left. You was just gone for 4 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, don't front on it.
And you wasn't injured.
So exactly. So, I think he knew Styles kind of destroyed on that promo, so he was just like, let me keep it short and sweet. I love Corbin stepping up to Cena, bro, and it's set up next week's match, Corbin Cena, which I'm interested to see.
Oh, that's official?
Yep, it's official.
Oh, okay. I definitely look forward to that. Damn, just when I'm trying to say Raw had the better show, Smackdown pulls me in, man. Smackdown just keeps doing it, and
I love that they set up. I always love that they set up for next week. Like, there's also, I believe, there's a tag title rematch next week as well. So that's dope too. Like, they set us up. Man, I'm hyped.
All right, so let's move on because, like we said, more matches hold more importance, and the next two matches were short matches. There was a backstage segment between Maurice and Renee Young where they see each other, and Maurice slapped the shit out of Renee Young, and it's the first time Renee's been touched or hit like that in the WWE, which is cool, and like they're steadily bringing her into a character role, not just being an announcer and an interviewer. Like, she's basically getting this whole persona now for SmackDown, and maybe, who knows, even though Miz said that Renee Young sleeps with Dean Ambrose, they still haven't really actually talked to each other and, like, had a conversation like, why is he helping her? Like, I know that was disrespectful and all that, but they're not admitting to being a couple, and they're not acting like a couple, you know what I mean?
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. They still haven't even had a conversation on SmackDown, I don't believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and after that it was Carmella versus.
Wait.
What's up?
Marie smacked the shit out of her, and you said it. I just had to repeat it.
Okay.
But I fucking love that because last week when Maurice answered the door when it was Renee Young, I thought Maurice said it right there, and I thought she should have smacked her right there. And instead, she was like, if you ever touch my husband again, popping that shit. And then this week, she just caught her backstage and smacked it. Maurice is real, boy. Like, Maurice is a real one.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll see her fight, start wrestling again. But she's a real one. She's vicious. She's a great manager. I love her.
Yeah, she's killing it. I got to give her props.
Maurice, come through to the No Politics podcast. Bring the
Yeah.
Miz. Miz, it's all good. Bring the Miz.
But
It ain't that kind of party. Bring the Miz.
right. But moving on now. Carmella faced Aaliyah. James Ellsworth came out with her. It was a cool little match. It was short. Aaliyah actually impressed me. Watching her from Breaking Ground on the network. She looked like she was trash on that show. Like she would never be good or never like get called up or get better at this shit or even get a character. But she definitely put it together. She was good in the ring. She has some spots. All in all, James Ellsworth helped Carmella get the win, and it was a little squash match. It was that's what it was for, right?
Yeah, I mean, I expected it to be a squash match when I saw it was Aaliyah. No, I mean, no disrespect to her. As you said, though, I watched Breaking Ground too, and when she was first introduced, like, she didn't look like she had the potential, but I've seen her on NXT. They started putting her on NXT more and more. She hasn't been on it lately. The last time I saw her was with Billie Kay and Peyton Royce in that little feud with Ember Moon and, that whole thing. I don't know if you saw that. But she's improved a lot in the ring. And I'm happy for her that she got this chance. Like, even though it's a squash match, of course, it's always cool to kind of see someone from NXT get a little shot on, SmackDown or Raw. Usually SmackDown, like we've seen Oni Lorcan, like I mentioned to you recently. Yep. So it was cool, and it was basically not even just for the point of the squash match, so much as it was for us to see Ellsworth contribute to Carmella's success and how that little relationship is going to play out going forward.
Yep, moving on. American Alpha faces Tyler Breeze and Fandango, the Fashion Police, which I'm so disappointed in them. They ruined their whole characters. Tyler Breeze was a guy coming from NXT. Everybody was looking forward to him coming up. His whole gimmick was different, new, the whole selfie stick thing. And then they put him with Fandango, which I was actually like, yo, this could work. But then they put him in the little cop shit, like fucking with the, I don't know. I don't want to say nothing that could get me in trouble, but it's horrible. And it was a squash match. I looked away and looked back, and the match was over. So like I can't even elaborate on what happened. But American Alpha won.
I was just gonna say I blinked, and that was it. But yeah, I'm so disappointed with Tyler Breeze and Fandango. Like you said, Tyler Breeze was dope in NXT. Fandango, the pairing was right. They were both these kind of like guys who were narcissistic and just into themselves. And it was funny, and then they would have segments, they would have those little promos, and it always made me laugh. They always made me laugh. They're like two dumb dudes, like just all narcissistic and shit. And then when I first saw them in those cop uniforms, I thought it was just like their gimmick for the night. Like it was just that was gonna be like for that night they decided they were gonna be the Fashion Police type shit and just kind of shit on people. And then they just kept coming out in the cop outfits, and then they started getting less and less screen time, and now we don't even see them do promos anymore. And then American Alpha, who could put on a good tag team match with pretty much anybody, I thought it would have been a dope match if they gave Tyler Breeze and Fandango some time. But it was just a squash match, like you said. We looked away, you blinked, and it was over. Whatever.
All in all, the one thing we can take from that, though, the lights went out and the promo and Bray Wyatt was talking his shit. It was like nothing lasts forever. We're coming back for those belts next week. And it was like, yeah, beware. And then, Harper is the one who says, run. But who said it this time? RKO, Randy Orton.
Yeah. I'm glad you picked up on that because I thought it was like I was watching it with a friend and he didn't pick up on it. And but I noticed like Harper was about to step out to say it, and then Orton cuts him off. So
and did you see the look Harper gave him though?
What was it?
So Randy was like run, and Harper like looked at him like,
yeah,
like you said it, like you said run instead of me, but it cut real quick. But
I like that it keeps happening like when Bray walks off. Like Bray's not even seeing, that Orton is like undermining Harper this whole time.
Right.
It's funny.
But yeah, that was what I took away from that. And then
do you think, before we move on, What do you think happens next week in the title match? Putting you on the spot.
My mind can't even fathom what can happen. Like,
You think Bray is in the match?
Bray has to be in the match if they're gonna have a shot. Like, I feel that's kind of the vibe I was getting. Like, none lasts forever. We're gonna come for our belts because I wasn't in the match, so now I will be in the match, and let's see if you guys get this win. And I feel one side of me saying American Alpha just won the belts. Let them hold the belts and continue to go, which I've been saying with everybody who's winning new belts now. I said it with the Wise. I said it with Cesaro. I said it with freaking Sasha and you know what I'm saying? But the other side of me saying, like, WWE is just going to literally take the belts right off them next week because Bray Wyatt's going to put himself in the match.
See, that's why I had to ask you, because that's an interesting little thing. Do they just strip Alpha of the titles in a week? And, I wouldn't, not that I wouldn't mind it, because you never like to see them play hot potato with the titles, but, to keep Alpha chasing a little more. It almost seemed a little too easy for them. They capitalized on a mistake. Yeah, cool, but, it almost seemed a little too easy. And if it's not them and the Wyatts, who are the Alphas really going to feud with, So I can see them taking the titles right back off of them, especially if Bray Wyatt's in the match. I would be interested to see who's partnering with Wyatt. Is it Harper, and then maybe Orton kind of cost them by, being a bystander and not, getting into the action when he could have helped them cheat or get over. Does Harper, does Harper need help and Orton kind of turns a blind eye? Something like that. So I'm interested to see what happens.
I would like to see something like that more so than just take the belts off American Alpha. Somehow, some way, like Harper and Randy screw it up by someone not helping someone or someone getting in the way.
I can see it.
Yeah, but all in all, from here, I'm just gonna skim through what happened next. Basically, I guess they went to commercial. They come back. Nikki Bella and Natalia. I don't know if you want to talk about that. I really don't. I feel like it was meaningless. Nothing really important came from it, except for the fact that they mentioned Bret Hart, and then Natty said at the end, like, well, when you're old, beauty doesn't last forever, and that's why you're gonna die alone. Because John Cena's never gonna marry you.
She was dropping some bombs in that one too. I mean, she did her thing on that. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, moving on. We go backstage, and that girl, I guess her name's Dasha, interviews Ambrose. She stumbles a little.
Again.
Huh?
She botched again, like you were about to say.
Yeah, she stumbled a little on some of the lines, but Ambrose, knowing that she's young and kind of new, stepped on and was like, Miz, what is he gonna do? Like, I'm gonna take the belt from him. This is the Miz's last night. Boom! Like, just picked it up for her. I guess they go to commercial or whatever. The match comes up next. They both come out, and they had a fucking awesome match, man. I feel like this match wasn't that long either. I don't know what it is with SmackDown. I just never feel like their matches are that long, but their matches are always good. So that's a plus. You want to talk about it?
I think the reason for that is there's so much going on. It seemed like there was so much going on tonight in a 2-hour window. Ziggler turning heel, Corbin, Cena, the contract signing, the Natty, Nikki Bella, the Carmella, Ellsworth, the Alphas and the Wyatts. There was a lot that was going on. It seemed like, and so a lot of things got the short end of the stick. I feel. Plus, they're doing it live now, so they can't afford to just edit shit and leave shit out and make for a longer match. Now they have to make sure that match fits in that final time slot and they get it done in time. So I just felt like a lot was going on. It was a dope match. Do you want to talk about the finish? Talk about the finish.
All right. So the finish was basically they were outside ringside and Maurice got involved and ended up smacking Ambrose. Am I correct? And at the same time, the ref saw. So the ref was like, wait a minute. That's like a DQ. But he was about to call it. But Ambrose was like, no. Do not DQ. Throw her out. Get her out of here. And the ref's like, thinks about it. Like, she's out of here. So they get her out of here. And Miz comes in and hits Ambrose in the back with the IC title, and then goes for the skull crushing finale, and Ambrose kicks out. And then from there, he goes to pin him after the damn title, after he hits him with the title. My bad. I thought he hit him with the finisher first, and then he went for the finisher after he kicked out, but he got it reversed. And Ambrose reverses right into the Dirty Deeds, hits him with it, covers him, 1, 2, 3, and we have a new champion, the two-time Intercontinental Champion, the Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose.
Were you shocked? Because I was kind of shocked.
I was shocked. Like, honestly, I'm not even going to front, man. Like, the whole first half of the match, like, I was watching it, but not really, because I was like, I don't think Ambrose is going to win and stuff, you know what I mean? But, it ended up, like, ending really well, and Ambrose got the win, and I'm happy. Like, I like to see Ambrose as the champ.
Here's the thing, though. Is Ambrose allowed to tell the ref not to disqualify Miz? Is he even allowed?
Good point.
Because that should have been DQ, which means Miz retains. So I can see that controversy coming up. The only reason that it might not is because Daniel Bryan doesn't fuck with Miz. So he might just be like, well, the ref's decision is the ref's decision, and if he felt that it shouldn't have been a DQ and that it was best to just throw Maurice out, then that's what we're going with. Like, so I can see a little more. There's more to this. This doesn't
Good
end
point.
here.
Good point.
Something is interesting. Something's brewing.
Yeah, man, that's a good freaking point, because it's like, I was just going to say that too. Like, what gives him the right to tell the ref, like, don't disqualify this guy? And then, the ref doesn't, and then he wins the belt. But at the same time, I didn't even think about that. Freaking Daniel Bryan doesn't even like Miz. So why is Daniel Bryan going to reverse the call?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
See, SmackDown always got some extra shit going on in the background. Alright, I'm gonna ask you again though. Like, so which show? So which show won it this week? Which show got it this week?
I'm sticking to my guns. Raw has it, man.
Your guns is whack.
I'm sticking to my guns. If you put, to me, the best part of the night for SmackDown was Cena and Styles, and Ziggler too. But if you put Cena and Styles up against the Kevin Owens show, I'm giving it to the Kevin Owens show, man. I'm giving it to the Kevin Owens show. If you put Ziggler versus Corbin up against Zayn and Strowman, I'm giving it to Zayn and Strowman. I gotta give it to Monday Night Raw this week.
I mean, I see what you're saying. If you take those specific segments, whatever. Obviously, Zayn and Strowman in a last-minute standing match, though, if you put it up against Ziggler and Corbin, it's not a fair comparison. The Ziggler and Corbin thing, I think, was more for it was for the Ziggler heel turn.
Yeah.
So it's different things going on there. I don't know if you could just fairly put those segments up against each other.
All right. Well, I'm gonna ask you then. Who you think had the better match, the better show?
I mean, I think it was SmackDown. I feel like I said, so much was even going on in SmackDown that you could have put SmackDown in a 3-hour slot and gave that tag match some time, and gave the Carmella match some time, and maybe gave the Nikki Bella Natalia things, and I think you could have stretched that to 3 hours. So I think SmackDown doing Raw's job better than Raw's doing. So you already know the A show.
Typical. I expected that from you. That I should have not even asked you. That should have been a rhetorical question.
It was an interesting. It was actually some competition this week, though. I could give you that. It's gonna take more than 1 week though to sway me and to sway my biases. So
I'm gonna work on that though. Last week, I admit it. Raw was whack. I'm that type of dude. I keep it real. I'm a realist. I know when something's good. I know when something's not. But this week was good in Raw, and if they can keep it up next week, I'm gonna keep backing them, and I'm gonna sway that thought, because I'm telling you, they just got it. They just got to keep it going. Just got to keep it going. And you know what? Big props to SmackDown, because SmackDown's the one lighting the fire under their asses. You know what I'm saying?
True. And I give that to you. Raw did have a good week. Tune in next week to Raw, where they'll have pretty much the same matches. So watch that.
But this time the Smackdown wrestler Undertaker will be there.
Oh yeah. That is actually a good reason to tune in because you bring SmackDown to Raw, it could only do well.
Right? Exactly. But on that note, we're gonna take our first break, and when we come back, we're gonna have some NFL talk and maybe some music talk, depending on how long we go with this NFL. But we do got the playoffs coming up, and we got to make our predictions. We'll be back. And we're back. All right, everybody. We're gonna talk about NFL playoffs. This week on Saturday is the first game. Raiders and Texans will be facing each other at 4:35 p.m. Eastern time, and the Lions and the Seahawks will have a match that same day at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. And then the following day, Sunday, is Dolphins Steelers at 1 p.m. and the Giants and Packers at 4:40 p.m. So Sunday will be ending football pretty early, but all in all, it is the first round of the playoffs, and I'm fucking excited. How about you, boy?
I'm excited that the Falcons got that week off. You already stumped.
Of course you are. But let's start with our first matchup of the playoffs: Raiders versus Texans. How do you feel that's gonna turn out?
Should I just jump into my prediction or how I feel about the team?
However you want to go.
All right. Well, I feel like the Raiders they can't be seen as a threat at this point. And to be honest, neither can the Texans. But one of these teams is gonna luck out into a win and advance because that's just somebody got to win, no matter how bad both of these teams are. The way I see it going is I see the Texans winning. I mean, Osweiler isn't very encouraging, but they managed to get wins all year anyway, despite Osweiler's poor performances. Yeah. And their defense has, for the most part, held them down despite Osweiler's bad performances. And they're facing Connor Cook, who's the third-string quarterback, a rookie coming in for the Raiders. So their offense, I can't see them moving the ball. And their defense, although they got some talent and some names on that defense, I can't really see them. Not that they can't stop Osweiler, but I'm not sure I see them making enough plays. If Khalil Mack will make some plays, they'll need to get a defensive score for me if they're gonna pull out this win. Ultimately, though, I see the Texans coming out. It's gonna be like 14-10. This is what I'm thinking is gonna be the most boring of the four games.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably like a fucking 7-10 or 7-14 match, a win for. I don't even honestly. The Texans are probably gonna get the win. I think it's gonna actually come down to their defense because Brock Osweiler is named the starting quarterback for this game, and we've talked about him in the past. We do not believe in him. He's fucking trash. He doesn't know how to use his weapons. They paid him for no reason. And then the Raiders, like you said, that I love what you said. If they can score a defensive touchdown, then we might have some hope for them because they've had an awesome fucking year. They do have weapons, but like you said, the third string quarterback starting, and we just don't know if he's gonna be able to move the ball. So it's gonna come down to defense. It's gonna be a low scoring game. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's like 7-3.
Yeah.
7-3 on some real shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like interesting matchup. I'll go Texans. They're gonna squeak it out, but they'll be squeaked out next round. Right? Basically.
They'll be punched out next round.
They'll be punched out, yeah.
But the winner of this is likely to, as long as the Steelers win, is likely to face the Patriots next week.
Yep. And the second matchup that day is gonna be the Lions and the Seahawks, which is the match of the night that I'll be interested in. Lions and Seahawks, another team where we say the Seahawks, man, they just somehow they get lucky and they win. Like I don't know. I always do that. Wilson.
He's not as good as Westbrook. Don't
I
do
know,
that.
but I always mix them up. Like it's like a tongue twister for me. Their names, but Russell Wilson is having his worst year ever. I think I've said it before, and I don't know, like his receivers. I mean, Jimmy Graham had a good year this year, but Doug Baldwin and Curse have not had that much of a good season. Besides Doug Baldwin throwing a touchdown, and Tyler Lockett broke his leg, so he's done for the season. And yeah, I mean, I want to see the Lions upset them. Personally, I do. I would love to see that, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But who knows? What do you think?
Here's how I feel. This is what I've been saying all week when I speak to my friends about this. I keep saying the Lions are better than the Seahawks are right now. The Seahawks are not the same without Earl Thomas. Their offensive line has been terrible all year, which has contributed to Russell Wilson's poor year. They struggle to run the ball because of that. They don't give Russell Wilson a lot of time. And, early in the season we saw that hurt them because Wilson was also hobbled, so he couldn't even be too mobile. But I think the Lions are better than them. But they are in Seattle, and I think because of it, I think they're somehow going to manage to get this win. Maybe a little help from the refs because, to be honest, nobody really respects Detroit. That's the sad. Like, sometimes you could just look at two teams in the NFL, and I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm not saying everything is fixed and scripted or whatever. But sometimes you just know, the favorites. You know the NFL's favorites. They like New England. They like Green Bay. They like Pittsburgh. They like the Giants. They like Dallas. They like certain teams. Like, they just do. They like Seattle. Usually they like Denver. They just like these certain teams, the bigger markets, the markets that do win Super Bowls, that they tend to favor those, and I just feel like Seattle's going to squeak one out. It's not going to, maybe like a 27-24 kind of game if Seattle can score that much, but we'll see. Maybe it's going to have to be less, but Seattle gave up 20-something to San Francisco on last week, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. It was I think
San
Fran almost beat them. I think it came down to like a field goal or something like that. But if we're going to go with score predictions as well, I'm giving it like a 17-14 Seattle winning with a field goal or something like that, squeaking it out like you said. If not, if Detroit shows up and Seattle doesn't get it going, I will give Detroit 21-10 or like a 14-10.
I didn't even want to get into the score predictions. That just popped up. But yeah, I mean, I can't see Detroit win. I legitimately think they're better. I do. I legitimately think that Stafford's going to be able to move the ball against the Seattle defense, who can't stop anyone, it seems like, anymore. But something about them being in Seattle, they're just so different in Seattle, and so I just see Seattle coming out on top.
Okay. All right, moving on. Sunday, January 8th, first game of the day will be the Miami Dolphins versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is an interesting matchup, man. I'm actually looking forward to this match. And I'm just going to go right off the bat. I'm picking the upset. Dolphins are going to take this match.
Wow.
I'm picking the Dolphins, boy.
You trying to get us some ratings or something?
Yeah, come on. Why not?
The ratings right now? Trying to be controversial?
I'm being controversial.
See, 28-13, like it's 31-13, like killers is what I'm seeing. It's like, I don't know, these two teams actually played early in the year, and Miami did win, I believe, because I had the Steelers defense that week in fantasy, and that didn't go so well. But I don't know, is Miami's offensive line healthy? That's going to be important. I don't know if you know as of right now, but we know when they're all. I think Pouncey is out for the rest of the year. So I don't think they are fully healthy. But they also have Matt Moore, remember?
Yeah, I know. It's not Tannehill. But Matt
Um,
Moore's been playing pretty well. He came in, and I haven't seen a drop off or anything like that. So I could see them upsetting. I'm not saying it's a guarantee upset, but that's just my personal pick. I'm picking Miami to upset Pittsburgh.
that is true. There hasn't been much of a drop off, but again, this is just how I see it. When you think about it, teams like Miami and Detroit can't get no respect.
I feel you. I feel you.
And against teams like the Seahawks and Pittsburgh, I don't know. To me, it's not. I mean, I'm hoping for a good game. I could see it being a little grinded out kind of game early on, but ultimately, I feel like Pittsburgh pulls away, and 28-13, 31-30, something like that.
Listen, if they start off and the first score of Pittsburgh, like of the game for Pittsburgh, is like AB on like a 30-yard play or some shit, you know what I'm saying, or like going like on some crazy shit, then I give it to Pittsburgh. Like there ain't no coming back from that. Once AB's hot, he's hot. But
once AB humps a goalpost, it's over.
It's over. You're right. But I'm still sticking to my guns. I'm going to pick Miami. And then later on in the day at 4 p.m., 4:40 to be exact, it's going to be the game of the whole playoffs, the best game of the playoffs. You already know it's going to be the Giants versus the Packers. Now, before you start going in on us and on me, because I know I have mentioned in the past, the one team that we don't want to see is Green Bay in the playoffs, but the way things turn out, and we know it was going to turn out this way, the Giants have to face Green Bay at their home in the playoffs.
Have fun in Lambeau.
Hopefully it don't snow.
Nah, that's... you sure you don't want to keep talking? I could just let you go for another 2 minutes. Talk your shit, pop your shit.
You want me to keep going? All right, the score's going to be... I'm telling you right now, I came back from the future. It's going to be about like 24 to 21. No, I'm wrong. 24-17 Giants. If not, 21-17 Giants.
Wait. In both of those, you said Giants and not Packers. You sure you didn't fuck that
Giants. Wait.
Yo, I'm going to come clean. This is funny that you say you came back from the future, because 2 days ago, I had a dream. Now, I have a lot of dreams. I'm just an active dreamer or some shit. But I had a dream that the Giants were in Lambeau against the Packers. It was cold, and they were up 17-15 in the final moments of the game, and Mason Crosby nailed a 48-yarder to win 18-17.
You're lying. You're bullshit.
I swear to God, that was my dream.
Why are you dreaming about us, bro?
I don't know.
Damn, you really despise your own kind. Like, you hate New Yorkers that bad?
There's too many Giants fans talking shit around me. Nah, I don't really know why I dreamt that, but that's what I dreamt it, and I've been just because I dreamt it, I've been pushing that all week. That's what I've been jacking. I've been jacking an 18-17 Packers win. But to be honest, one thing about the Giants that is just unfathomable to me is that certain teams just fold in front of when they go head to head with the Giants. The Cowboys, the Patriots, the Packers. Certain teams just fold when they face the Giants, and I don't get it, because they bring that shit to ATL and they're gonna get smacked. Like that's one thing. But like there's certain teams that just fold. Like even seeing the Detroit Giants game a few weeks ago, like Detroit just fold. Like they did not look scary at all. Like, and I know people gonna say, oh yeah, the Giants defense has looked good, and yeah, granted, a lot of those free agent acquisitions have been paying off. And your defense does look solid. Yep. But, I'm not scared of the Giants' defense. Like, y'all haven't done nothing to scare me yet. And while I would think that would mean that a strong offense like the Packers can move the ball on y'all, now I think it's going to go back to the way they were struggling early in the season, where everybody was like, oh, what's wrong with the Packers offense? What's wrong with Aaron Rodgers? They're going to start talking about his calf hurting again. And he's going to be struggling a little, and they're going to struggle to move the ball, and they're going to fold, because the Packers always fucking fold when they see y'all in the playoffs. And Whatever. Come see us. I hope. Come see us if anything. Like, but the way I see it is, I can see either of y'all winning. To be honest, like I can see the Packers winning. I can see the Giants winning. Ultimately, I'm gonna continue to jack 18-17 Packers. That's not how I actually see it. 24. Nah. 20-17 Packers is what I want to go with. 20-17.
Okay.
Packers.
Kind of along the lines of my guess as well.
Yeah.
Now the question is, if whoever wins that matchup, we see Atlanta second round, no doubt.
If the Seahawks win, Atlanta sees the Seahawks no matter what.
Okay. If the Seahawks lose,
then it's the winner of the Giants Packers.
I'm banking on the Seahawks losing.
I'm banking on the Seahawks winning, and I really want them to because I want the Seahawks to come to ATL, and I want us to pummel them. Okay. Like I want us to destroy them.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw us against the Saints this past week, but not that the Saints are great, but like we had like 35 in the half. Like,
nah, I didn't see it.
Running it up.
Oh, good thing that you just reminded me though, because we had that MVP conversation last week, and I got the notification today that ESPN is projecting Matt Ryan. He's etching out #1 for that MVP, and I almost forgot to mention him last week. Matty Ryan, Matty Ice. He might be the MVP.
I mean, I don't like to talk too much because I'm biased. But we did talk about this, and like I said, my
boy, Matty Ice. He is the most valuable to his team, though. It's straight up like the points that you brought to the table last week makes perfect sense. Without him, where would they be? You know what I mean?
I'm getting choked up.
So yeah, man, that's cool, and I just look forward to next week. But other than that, that wraps up football, and I really don't have nothing much else to talk about. I don't know about you, but if not, then we could just sign off.
We could talk about your day if you want. How was your day?
Right, like we ain't talk about enough shit. But on that note, we're gonna sign off right here. I am your boy Faking No Moves at FAKINNOMOVES. Follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, and follow my boy Working Genius. Give him your handle.
At Working Genius, WORKINGENIUS, 1G in the middle. I don't do those 2Gs. Don't fuck with the double. No, whatever. Let me stop talking shit. You can catch me on Instagram. You can catch me on Snapchat. Hit me up. Don't be afraid. Make sure you follow that at No Politics Podcast on SoundCloud, on Instagram. Soon to be on iTunes. We hear the people talking. We know what's up. We coming to iTunes very soon. So be on the lookout for that.
Yep. And on that note, be safe. Peace.